everybody. Today we're going to be talking about climate change. You might be thinking, what's climate change? Climate change describes a change in the average conditions of a region over a long period of time, typically about 30 years. So for our Earth right now, our climate is getting warmer. We call this global warming. So I know what you might be thinking. Isn't warm just a temperature? What's the difference between climate and weather? Well, for instance, weather describes the conditions outside right now in a specific place. If we look around, we see that it's sunny outside right now. And we're using that word, sunny, to describe today's weather. As for climate, it's more than just 1 or 2 sunny days. Climate describes the weather that's expected in a certain place over a certain particular period of time for a long period of time. So, for example, let's think about Arizona. Arizona typically has a pretty dry desert climate, right? So let's say it's raining for about 1 or 2 weeks in Arizona. This wouldn't really change the fact that Arizona has a dry desert climate. Even though it might be raining right now, we still know that Arizona is on average pretty dry, and that's its typical climate. So you might be wondering, what does this have to do with anything? Why does climate change and global warming affect our Earth, affect us? Well, let's think about it in terms of our oceans. Our oceans make up about 70% of our beautiful Earth, but our oceans are very neglected, especially by us humans. We don't really take the time to understand what global warming is doing to our oceans. So here's a fact: about 90% of the global warming created by humans has been absorbed by our oceans. 90%. All since 1970. That's not a very long time ago. That's a lot of global warming to be contributing to our oceans. This means that climate change isn't only affecting us humans, but it's affecting other animals and organisms that we live with. First of all, with warmer climate comes higher ocean temperatures, meaning that polar ice caps are melting. When this happens, the melted ice is making its way into our seas and causing these sea levels to rise. This causes a big threat to animals such as polar bears, walruses, penguins, seals, and any other animals whose habitat are in these cold-loving climates. Lack of sea ice means lack of critical habitat for these cold-loving critters. So, for our experiment, I wanted to show a nice visual representation of what it's like for these animals and their habitats and how they're truly affected by global warming. As we watch the time lapse of the iceberg melting, I want you to see how the water is going into our oceans and how the sea levels are rising. Watch as the animal no longer has a habitat to survive. As you can see, I have our Arctic habitat set up right here. This bowl will represent our ocean. I have water filled up to about 15 milliliters right here, so we can see each one of these represents 5 milliliters, so we can see how much our water rises. We have our nice iceberg right here, which is our land habitat for our polar bear right here. I'm going to set this up so we can watch and see what happens as this ice starts to melt, and we'll see how much the sea level rises. Okay, our iceberg is almost entirely melted and it's definitely no longer a habitat for our zebra. So as you can see, we went from about 15 milliliters right here to almost 25 milliliters. So it raised the sea level of our environment right here to almost 10 milliliters just by this melting iceberg into our seas. Since us humans are the ones that are responsible for climate change, us humans are the only people that can really fix it. If you take the time to learn and educate yourself about climate change and global warming, you can help be part of the solution to fix our beautiful Mother Earth.